Welcome to the Science for Sleep, where science becomes a lullaby and wonder tucks you in. Tonight, we're taking a gentle journey into one of the most mysterious and powerful parts of you, your subconscious mind. That quiet place beneath your thoughts. The part of you that dreams, remembers, and guides, even while you sleep. Have you ever acted on a feeling you couldn't explain? Or remembered something your mind had long forgotten? That's the subconscious at work, silently shaping how you think, feel, and live. In this soft bedtime narration, we'll explore how your subconscious stores memories, builds habits, and speaks through symbols and sensations. We'll walk through the science, not with textbooks, but with metaphors, imagery, and calm curiosity. So as you lie back and let the day slip away, let your mind drift with us, beneath the surface of thought, to where the quiet part of you waits, ready to be heard. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. The journey inward begins. Chapter 1. Beneath the surface of thinking. Close your eyes for a moment, not in sleep just yet, but in stillness. Let your breath rise and fall like a slow tide, soft and unnoticed. Above the surface of your mind, thoughts ripple and pass. To-do lists, memories, worries, dreams. They move like birds in the sky, like shadows across water. But deeper down, something quieter watches. It does not speak in words, but it listens. It does not ask to be noticed, yet it shapes every part of who you are. This is the place we begin, beneath the surface of thinking. Your conscious mind feels like everything. It is where you narrate your day, make your plans, decide what's next. But it is only the tip of a vast iceberg. Below it lies a silent terrain, ancient, constant, alive. Your subconscious mind. The subconscious doesn't talk in language the way your conscious mind does. It speaks in patterns, in habits, in instincts and dreams. It moves your body before you think to move. It knows the rhythm of your breath when you're asleep. It remembers how to walk without needing to explain how. As you lie there, listening, you may think that you are doing nothing, but your subconscious is doing everything. It watches your heart and keeps it beating. It balances the salts in your blood, the temperature of your skin, the chemistry of your thoughts. It notices the curve in someone's voice and quietly stirs emotion before you know why. It stores your earliest memories, even the ones you've long forgotten. You are not just a thinker. You are a vessel of unseen intelligence flowing through every cell. Sometimes a thought will rise from nowhere. A song you haven't heard in years hums in your mind. An old feeling brushes against your ribs like a forgotten scent. You didn't invite it in, but there it is. That is the subconscious opening a door. It stores everything, not like a neat filing cabinet, but more like a forest, alive, chaotic, mysterious. Some paths are well-trodden, others overgrown. When you repeat an action enough times, it lays down a path, like footsteps in snow. And your subconscious will follow that trail again and again, even if you've forgotten why it began. In this way, your habits are shaped not by willpower alone, but by what lies beneath. You brush your teeth the same way every morning. You reach for your phone without meaning to. You flinch at a sound or soften at a smell. These are not decisions. They are echoes. The subconscious is not only a keeper of memory, but a sculptor of identity. It forms who you believe you are. It listens closely to the stories you tell yourself. If you say, "I'm not good at this," or I'm always anxious. It takes those words and plants them like seeds. And over time, it grows roots around them. Not because it wants to trap you, but because it believes what you say. It is always listening, even now. So how do you speak to a part of you that doesn't use words? You do it slowly, through stillness, through repetition, through emotion. The subconscious mind is like water. It shapes itself around what it holds. If you fill it with fear, it will learn fear. If you fill it with calm, it will remember calm. That is why bedtime is sacred. It is the hour when your conscious guard lowers, and the soft whispers of your inner world become louder. As you drift closer to sleep, your brain begins to shift. Waves slow. Alpha becomes theta. You begin to dip into the subconscious, the place where dreams are born. This is where healing can happen. This is where new thoughts can take root. This is where you remember that you are more than the noise above. You are a depth. You are a rhythm. You are a mystery to even yourself. And that's not something to fear. It's something to trust. Your subconscious is not perfect, but it is wise. It keeps you alive when you forget how. It brings forward memories when you need them. It paints your dreams in symbols that only you can understand. What if every time you paused, every time you breathed deeply, you were speaking to this part of you, not with words, but with attention, with presence? Let your thoughts now float. Let them rise and fall. Do not chase them. Just notice what remains underneath. The calm hum of being, the watcher behind the thought. This is the beginning of your journey inward. Not to escape, but to remember that beneath your worries, beneath your stories, there is a soft intelligence, a quiet guide, waiting. And now, with this gentle awareness blooming, a new question begins to rise like mist on a morning lake. If this mind beneath your thinking never sleeps, what else is it doing while you dream? Chapter 2. The Mind That Never Sleeps. You lie in the dark, and slowly, your body begins to loosen its grip on the day. Muscles soften. Your eyes no longer chase the world. And still, somewhere inside you, movement continues. Not the busy movement of errands and conversations, but a quieter kind. The steady pulse beneath your ribs. The soft rising and falling of your chest. The tiny twitches of your fingers in sleep. You may think you've fallen away from the world when you sleep, but you are not falling. You are folding gently into a deeper layer of yourself. Your conscious thoughts drift off, like birds returning to their nests. And in their place, something else takes over, something wordless, watchful, and wise. This is your subconscious, the part of you that never sleeps. It listens when your thoughts go silent. It manages when you no longer try. It carries on the work of being alive. Even now, as you lie still, it is monitoring your breathing, keeping your temperature just right, adjusting your blood pressure to the slow rhythm of night. You do not command your heart to beat. You do not think about each breath. And yet, breath comes. The heart continues. The body, in its deep wisdom, simply knows. And this knowing is not random. It is intelligence without words. It is the mind below the mind. Ancient, tireless, deeply attuned. Science tells us that much of the brain is active even during sleep. That neurons fire in complex patterns. That memories are quietly sifted, sorted, and stored. That the subconscious is not resting. It is reorganizing, healing, weaving. Your brain is like a vast city at night. The lights may be dimmed in some windows, but the work continues underground. The trains still run. The streetlights still flicker. And somewhere, far beneath the noise of day, someone is sweeping the floors, putting things in order. The subconscious keeps time in a different way. It does not rush. It does not tire. It is rhythm and pattern and pulse. While you sleep, your body produces hormones that help it repair itself. Your immune system strengthens its defenses. Your muscles recover from effort. Your brain clears out toxins. The subconscious coordinates this orchestra of renewal, all without a single word. And then, as the night deepens, something more mysterious begins. Dreams arise. Stories bloom in the dark. Your mind builds worlds, people, places, some familiar, some strange. Without your permission, you are not thinking these dreams. You are receiving them. Your subconscious plays back fragments of memory, pieces of thought, emotions that never got to speak. Sometimes it shows you something beautiful. Sometimes it shows you something confusing. But always, it is speaking in the only language it knows. This language is image. It is feeling. It is movement and metaphor. Not logic, but symbol. Not sentence, but sensation. The subconscious doesn't talk like the waking mind. It sings in riddles. It paints instead of writes. And yet, there is intelligence in these shapes. A message or a mirror. A question you didn't know you were asking. Even nightmares, unsettling though they are. Maybe the subconscious trying to warn, to process, to protect. It is your internal compass, recalibrating, adjusting course through storms you can't yet see. And perhaps the most extraordinary part? All this happens while you rest, while you float, half gone, half wrapped in the arms of sleep. Your mind, like the ocean, never truly still. Even in the deepest calm, currents move beneath the surface. Even in silence, there is a hum, a quiet, steady conversation between body and brain, between past and present, between sensation and soul. You might think of your subconscious as an old friend who never sleeps. It remembers what you forget. It cares when you cannot. It takes over the wheel when the driver steps away. And even now, even here, it is listening to the tone of this voice, to the light behind your eyes, to the small flutter of your thoughts as they begin to fade. You are never truly alone in the dark. You are carried by this quiet intelligence, a knowing that does not need to think, a mind that lives beneath your mind. Some call it instinct. Some call it the autonomic system. Some call it soul. But names are not so important in the night. What matters is that something in you is always awake. Something is always watching over you. Even when your memories blur. Even when time stretches like a long, slow river. Even when you forget what day it is, or where you are, or what comes next. This part of you remembers. It does not need a reason. It does not need the sun. It moves like moonlight through your body. Soft, essential, silent. And in this silence, you begin to feel the rhythm of something older than language. Something that has always been with you. Something that waits, not for your attention, but for your rest. Tonight, you do not need to hold the world. The mind that never sleeps is holding you. And as you drift deeper, as your breath becomes slower, your body sinks into the knowing beneath knowing, into the part of you that has always known how to keep you alive and how to dream. You are safe inside yourself. You are carried on the currents of the subconscious. And soon, you will begin to feel its quiet habits, the rituals it has woven through repetition, the familiar paths it walks each day without asking. But that is a story for another night. For now, rest. Let the silent systems guide you. Let the habits beneath the surface come softly into view. Chapter 3. Habits Hidden Hand. You wake in the morning and stretch before your eyes fully open. Your feet find the floor without searching. Your body remembers before your mind catches up. And in that gentle truth lies something extraordinary. So much of your life unfolds this way. Small acts performed with quiet rhythm. You brush your teeth in the same order, reach for the same mug, follow the same route. Not because you think about it, but because you don't have to. This is the quiet choreography of habit. A soft, invisible dance that the subconscious directs behind the curtain of thought. And it begins, always, with repetition. When you do something new, like tying a strange knot, learning a chord, or brushing with your other hand, your brain lights up with questions. Neurons fire, pathways test themselves. The conscious mind must take the lead. But as the action repeats, day after day, moment after moment, it slips beneath awareness. The brain, ever efficient, rewires itself to conserve energy. It bundles the steps, shortens the thinking, compresses the load. It says, "This again? I'll take care of it." And so, brushing your teeth no longer feels like a decision. It becomes a loop. Cue, action, reward. A signal enters, and the body responds, almost before the mind awakens. Neuroscientists call this the habit loop. It's how the brain encodes repeated behavior deep into the basal ganglia, a structure nestled in the subconscious regions of your brain. Here, patterns are stored not as conscious memory, but as instinctive rhythm, like grooves worn into a record. It's why a pianist can play a familiar tune even while lost in thought. It's how you can drive home from work and forget the ride. It's how the shoelaces tie themselves, the stove turns off, the door locks behind you. Your body is remembering for you. But this isn't mindless automation, not entirely. It's intelligence wearing soft shoes. Your subconscious notices more than you think. How the room smells when you sip your morning tea, the angle of light on the floor, the tiny lift in your chest before you speak. It watches, it learns, it adapts, and over time, it builds a temple of routine. In this temple, your habits live as statues shaped by practice. Some are golden, stretching, journaling, pausing before reacting. Some cast long shadows, nail-biting, doom-scrolling, late-night snacking. Yet all were built the same way, slowly, gently, through repetition. You are not born with habits. You grow them, and once grown, they grow you. Consider how your morning shapes your mood. One small act, setting the kettle to boil, taking 3 slow breaths, can ripple forward. The subconscious registers this not as drama, but as design. In fact, most of what you do in a day is not a fresh choice, but a well-worn groove. Studies suggest nearly 40 to 50% of your daily actions are habitual, a tide of behavior that rises from below thought. And if you're not steering, it still carries you. But here's the miracle. Because the subconscious learns by doing, you can teach it something new, slowly, lovingly, with repetition and patience. Imagine your habits as footpaths through a forest. Each time you walk one, the trail deepens. Grass bends, earth packs, trees lean aside. Soon, it becomes the obvious way through. But if you pause, step off that trail, and begin another, at first it feels strange. You trip on roots. The way is unclear. Still, if you return again and again, a new path forms. This is neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reshape itself, even in adulthood. It doesn't resist change, it resists chaos. Give it gentle structure, and it will follow. There's comfort in this, isn't there? That you are not trapped by who you've been. That with time, a new rhythm can take root. And the subconscious, quiet architect that it is, will eventually fold this new habit into its design, until one day, it belongs to you as naturally as breath. This is not a promise of perfection, but of possibility. You've likely felt this without naming it. That shift when something hard becomes second nature, when the effort of trying fades and a new pattern emerges. It might be the first time you leave your phone in another room at night. The third day you reach for a book instead of a screen. The sixth evening you light a candle before journaling. At first, it feels artificial, but one day it feels like home. Your subconscious doesn't judge your habits, it simply records. But you, the conscious self, the dreamer of this moment, can choose which songs to sing into the silent folds of mind. Still, be gentle. The brain resists sudden overhaul. It responds to rhythm, not revolution. Tiny cues help. A glass of water beside the bed. A notebook waiting with a pen. A deep breath at the doorway. Over time, these signals whisper, "Now we do this." And your body follows, until the act becomes part of your identity. You are not just someone who writes. You are a writer, not someone who walks sometimes, but someone who moves. Your habits shape your hours, and your hours shape your life. This is the soft power of the subconscious. To guide, to protect, to remember what you repeat. You don't need to control everything, but you can curate what you return to. And in that return, a new self is quietly sculpted. You are, in many ways, the sum of what you repeat. So as you rest tonight, notice the small things you did without thought. The ones that brought you ease, the ones that pulled you away. And know that even in sleep, your subconscious is listening. It is always learning. It is always becoming. And just as it builds habits, it also weaves symbols, paints dreams, tells stories in silence. Stories that wait patiently for your eyes to close. What language does the dreaming mind speak? And what is it trying to say? Let's step softly into that world, where the subconscious wears masks made of moonlight. Chapter 4. The language of symbols and dreams. When you drift into sleep, your body quiets first, then your thoughts begin to loosen. Words blur, time bends, meaning becomes mist. And in that mist, something begins to speak, but not in the language you know, not in logic or grammar, not in plans or tasks or notifications. Your subconscious speaks in symbols. It paints with images, echoes, memories. It tells stories without beginnings or endings, where a door becomes a mountain, and your childhood kitchen is somehow floating in the sky. These are not random. They are dreams. And dreams are the secret handwriting of your subconscious mind. Imagine your brain as a vast theater. The conscious mind sits in the front row, watching the spotlight, tracking the dialogue. But when you fall asleep, the spotlight dims, and another scene begins behind the curtain. The stage is still yours, but now the subconscious directs the play. Why does the mind dream? Science still searches for a complete answer. But what we do know is this: your brain is never idle. Even when your body sleeps, your neurons continue to fire, sorting, cleaning, weaving fragments of your waking life into stories. In REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, your brain enters one of its most active states, almost as alert as when you're awake. Your muscles are paralyzed, gently held still, but your mind becomes a storm of images, casting shadows and lights in an inner world all your own. Dreams may help consolidate memory, filing what matters, erasing what doesn't. They may allow your emotions to soften, wrapping the edges of hard feelings in narrative, or they may simply be a mirror, reflecting your day in riddles, turning stress into strange symbols, so you can face it in a softer way. A dream begins without your permission. You are simply there. You may walk through a house that isn't yours but feels like home. You may see someone you've lost and speak to them as if no time has passed. You may fly, fall, run, vanish. These moments are guided by the subconscious, a part of you that listens more deeply than your waking mind. It stores every sound, every scent, every half-formed wish. It remembers the tone in someone's voice, the color of a sky you saw once and forgot. And in your dreams, it speaks to you, not in commands, not in to-do lists, but in poetry. Symbols are its native language. You dream of water when you feel uncertain. You dream of being chased when you're avoiding something. You dream of flight when something inside you longs to be free. But the symbols aren't fixed. They shift with your personal story. A key may mean fear to one person and freedom to another. An ocean may be comfort or danger. And this is what makes dreams so mysterious. They are maps drawn in your own ink, but you must learn how to read them slowly. Some scientists believe the brain is simply processing noise, a kind of mental house cleaning, sweeping the day into piles. But even then, why would the piles form such peculiar shapes? Why would your mind bother to create such vivid detail, such emotion, such rhythm? There is something more, not magical, but meaningful. The subconscious does not waste energy. It constructs for a reason, even if the reason is healing, even if the reason is remembering, even if the reason is rest. Lucid dreaming is when you become aware that you are dreaming. It's a doorway, a moment of clarity in the fog. With practice, some people can walk through that doorway and gently shape the dream from within. But even in ordinary dreams, you are not lost. You are listening. Some part of you is always listening, to the fears you forgot to name, to the hopes you tucked away, to the images that float in your bloodline and culture and childhood. In dreams, the subconscious gathers those threads and spins them into silent parables. You do not need to decode them like puzzles. Simply feel them. Notice how they make you feel. Curious? Sad? Light? Afraid? Peaceful? When you awaken, a dream may slip away quickly, as if it never happened. That's because your brain prioritizes the waking world. It pulls you back into form, into time. But you can choose to linger. Write what you remember. Draw it. Hum it. Whisper it aloud before it vanishes. In doing so, you begin a gentle dialogue with the part of you that never sleeps. Some therapists use a method called dream work, not to assign meaning, but to listen more deeply. They ask, what do you associate with this symbol? Where does this image lead you? Your subconscious will not give you direct answers. It offers invitations. You are free to follow or not. And sometimes, a dream is just a dream, a swirl of neurons, a glimmer of nonsense. But even nonsense can be beautiful. Even the mind's idle sketches can reveal the softness within you. Tonight, as you fall asleep, notice the drift. Notice how your mind begins to untie its knots. Let it. Let the symbols arrive. Let the stories unfold without needing to understand. You are safe in this inner cinema. You are both the audience and the artist. And as the images begin to shimmer in the dark, ask yourself this: if my subconscious speaks in symbols, what else does it remember that I've forgotten? Because not every message comes in dreams. Some arrive quietly, wrapped in emotion, waiting for you in the waking world, where feelings rise before thought, and your body listens before your mind begins to speak. Chapter 5: Emotions in the Shadows. You feel something before you can name it. A quickening in your chest, a tightening behind your ribs, a ripple through your skin like wind across still water. The feeling comes first, and the words arrive later, if they arrive at all. This is the quiet work of your subconscious, the hidden tide that moves through your body long before your conscious mind begins to notice. Thought may be fast, but emotion is faster. It lives not just in your brain, but in the deep places of your nervous system, in the ancient language of sensation. Your subconscious is an emotional sculptor. It does not speak in logic or grammar. It molds your experience in rhythm and breath, in the pause between heartbeats, in the warmth that spreads when you feel safe, and the cold that prickles when you don't. Imagine walking into a room you've never been in before. You feel something: unease, peace, familiarity, without knowing why. Maybe the light reminds you of your grandmother's kitchen. Maybe the scent in the air stirs something old. Your subconscious draws from a well of memories and meanings so vast, it does not need permission from your thoughts to react. It simply reacts. It protects. It prepares. Emotions are not decorations on the surface of your life. They are signals from the depth of you, messages sent upward from the places that cannot speak. You felt this before. That strange discomfort around someone who seems nice, but something feels off. The sense of delight you get when a stranger's voice reminds you of someone you once loved. These aren't just coincidences. They are echoes, vibrations from emotional memories held deep in your neural fabric. Your brain has a sentinel, the amygdala. It sits near the center, small but powerful, always scanning, always ready. It's part of your limbic system, the emotional brain. It watches not for facts, but for feeling, for danger, for safety, for anything familiar or strange. And it does all of this before your rational mind catches up. It's why you can feel fear before understanding the source. Why you can cry without knowing what hurts. Why a song can make you ache, even if you've forgotten what it reminds you of. Because your subconscious remembers. It remembers the shape of your first heartbreak, the voice that soothed you to sleep, the sound of thunder when you were small and scared, not in words, but in feeling, in the body's reactions, in the breath that shortens, the hands that sweat, the shoulders that tighten. The body is the subconscious in motion. Even when you try to push feelings away, they find quiet corners to settle in. They show up later, in tension, in restlessness, in dreams. This is not a betrayal. It is a reminder. The subconscious does not forget what the conscious mind wants to avoid. And still, your emotional mind is not your enemy. It is trying to keep you safe, to help you understand, to guide you. It's why certain faces comfort you, why certain colors feel like home, why a familiar rhythm in a song can untangle a knot inside you. Your emotions are messengers. They do not need to be judged, only noticed. They rise like mist, swirl for a moment, and fade, unless you resist them. Then they root down, holding their shape until they are seen. Sometimes, when you feel anxious and cannot explain it, it may be your subconscious pulling threads from long ago, connecting a smell, a sound, a glance, to a moment your body once called danger. Even if your mind has forgotten, your nervous system has not. There's something beautiful in that. Your emotions are made not just from what happened, but from how it felt when it did. You are not a machine running logic. You are a story in motion. And every emotion is a sentence written by your deeper self, waiting to be read. At night, when the thinking mind gets quiet, you may feel old emotions rise, not to overwhelm you, but because, finally, they have space to breathe. You are still. They are patient. And in that softness, they surface. This is part of why dreams carry so much emotional weight. Your subconscious has no need for time or grammar, only symbolism and sensation. A hallway becomes a memory. A stranger becomes a feeling. And the tears you wake with were planted long ago, like seeds waiting for nightfall. There is no need to fight these shadows. They are not your enemy. They are your echo. They are your history, held in the arms of your biology. And just as they rise, they can also be soothed. A gentle breath, a warm blanket, a voice that says, "I see you." These things speak directly to the subconscious. They do not argue. They offer presence. And presence is often what emotion truly asks for. So as you rest, know this. Your emotions are not flaws. They are signals. They are guides. And your subconscious, ever quiet, ever watching, helps carry the weight you didn't know you were holding. You may never understand every feeling. You don't need to. You are not a puzzle to be solved. You are a sea to be listened to. And just beneath the surface of those waves, your memories stir. Not just emotional ones, but sensory, vivid, unforgettable. Memories that never quite left, only drifted down. In that soft current, you begin to glimpse the garden where they grow. The place where your subconscious tends the roots of memory, quietly, constantly, as you sleep. Chapter 6. The Garden of Memory. You lie still, your breath soft and slow. Around you, the world falls quiet, but within, something stirs, something ancient, something tender. Close your eyes and picture your mind not as a machine, but as a garden. A quiet, living garden where memories bloom and wilt in their own time. Some memories rise like lilies in spring, vivid, fragrant, unforgettable. Others curl beneath the soil, roots tangled in forgotten hours. The gardener here is your subconscious, always tending, never resting. It weeds out what's no longer needed, waters what you visit often, and buries seeds you didn't even know you planted. A scent, a sound, a sudden glimpse, and a memory bursts into color. A song you haven't heard in years plays in a cafe, and suddenly, you're 9 years old, dancing barefoot in the living room. How did your mind keep it safe for so long? The answer lies in the quiet rituals of encoding. How your brain wraps experience in sensation, emotion, and repetition. You may not remember the details of every day, but your subconscious keeps a record. Not like a diary with words and pages, but like a garden path shaped by footsteps. The more often you walk a trail, the more permanent it becomes. That's how your daily life is imprinted, through patterns, feelings, familiar turns in the soil of thought. The hippocampus, a small, curled structure deep in your brain, acts like a master gardener. It chooses what to store, what to trim, and what to let go. But it doesn't decide alone. Your emotions cast the deciding vote. Moments tied to joy or fear, love or sorrow, are the ones that take root most deeply. The subconscious holds on to what matters, even when you don't know why. A glance, a voice, the warmth of a hand in yours. These moments become seeds, tucked into dark earth, ready to grow again when needed. And sometimes they return without warning, drawn upward by the light of something familiar. Dreams are one way the garden reveals itself. Each night, as the world dims, your mind walks the winding paths of memory. It plucks images from branches, waters old wounds, rearranges fallen leaves. In sleep, your subconscious composts the day's emotions, turning clutter into clarity. And not all memories are true, not completely. Your mind reshapes them like vines, bending with time, colored by emotion. Memories are not fossils. They are flowers that open, close, and change their hue. But that doesn't make them less real. It makes them alive. Sometimes, trauma plants thorns. Painful memories lodge deep in the soil, tangled and hidden. You may not remember them clearly, but they shape how you walk, how you trust, how you speak. The subconscious protects you by burying what would overwhelm, but the roots still grow beneath. Even silence has memory. The way your body tenses when a voice grows loud. The way your breath shortens in certain places, around certain people. The subconscious remembers in gestures, in reflexes, in tiny pauses. But healing is possible here, too. With time, with gentleness, you can walk the garden paths with a lantern in your hand. You can prune away what no longer serves, make space for what brings peace. And you can plant new things, small hopes, quiet affirmations, words that take root with care. Think of every repetition as a watering can. The more you say something to yourself, kind or cruel, the more it grows. Your subconscious listens, always. It does not judge, but it remembers. Smell and sound are the deepest roots. A single fragrance can transport you across decades. A chord on a piano can open a forgotten door. That's because sensory memory bypasses logic and speaks straight to the garden below. Your earliest memories, those of childhood, often live here, not in full detail, but in feeling, the softness of a blanket, the rhythm of a lullaby. The subconscious keeps these close, like stones warmed by the sun. They shape your sense of safety, of love, of self. Some memories rise in layers, like petals unfolding. You may remember a house, then a room, then the laughter that filled it. Each detail unlocks another, not stored in files, but in associations, like vines entwined. And the more you revisit a memory, the stronger it becomes, not fixed, but refreshed. The subconscious also forgets, but not cruelly, not with loss, but with care. Too much memory can overwhelm. So the gardener trims the edges, lets petals fall. You forget names, dates, directions, but not the feeling of being held or the echo of someone's kindness. In the quiet of your mind, new memories are still blooming. Even now, as you listen, a soft imprint is forming, a moment of peace, of wonder, of inward stillness. The garden grows when you rest, and when you return, You may find something unexpected has blossomed. What lives deep in your mind's soil? Only you can discover that, gently, with time. And beneath the flowers and roots, there is still movement, the mind at work, reshaping, reweaving. Even as you rest, the gardener keeps watch. And as you drift, the next question begins to rise. What else is your body remembering when you are not aware? Chapter 7: Body, Brain, and the Subconscious Bridge. Your body is a language your mind has been learning since before you had words. A flicker in your stomach, a tightness in your chest, a sudden stillness in your breath. These are the phrases of a fluent, silent tongue. You feel something before you think it. Long before your mind can name an emotion, your body has already begun to react. The bridge between body and subconscious is not a rope stretched across a canyon. It is more like a field of mycelium under a forest, invisible, but richly alive, always connecting. You walk into a room and feel uneasy. You meet someone new and feel safe. No logic, no evidence, but something in you knows, and that knowing is ancient. This is your interoception, the sense of what is happening inside your body. It's the way your subconscious monitors your internal world, your heartbeat, your hunger, your tension. You don't have to think about your pulse or your posture. Your subconscious tracks them constantly, sending quiet reports. Even the gut, that twisting, pulsing tunnel of instinct, is lined with millions of neurons. It has its own nervous system. Some scientists call it the second brain. When your stomach flips before a big decision, that's not nonsense. It's data, ancient, embodied, and deeply wise. This internal guidance system evolved long before language. When we lived closer to nature, the body's signals meant survival. A chill down your spine at the sound of rustling leaves? That could mean danger in the dark. Today, the world has changed, but the signals remain. The subconscious keeps interpreting the world through flesh, breath, and heartbeat. You may think intuition is a gift, a mystery, or even magic, but it's also something beautifully physical. It's your brain, trained by experience, pulling together hidden patterns. It's your body, shaped by memory, responding faster than words can catch up. The subconscious speaks in sensations because the body feels before the mind understands. Even your posture can whisper stories to the subconscious. When you slouch, your body may begin to feel small, uncertain. When you open your chest and lift your gaze, your breath deepens, your mood shifts. This isn't just attitude, it's feedback from muscle to mind. The loop flows both ways. The vagus nerve, long and winding, is like a thread stitching your brainstem to your heart, your lungs, your gut. It carries the language of calm, slowing the heartbeat, deepening the breath. It is a bridge between feeling and thought, a path the subconscious uses to send its quiet instructions. When you exhale slowly, your vagus nerve hums safety to the brain, and your mind begins to settle. This is why breath is such a powerful tool. It is the one rhythm you can control that also controls you. By breathing slower, you invite the subconscious to relax its guard. You tell your inner world, it's okay now. You can rest. Your skin, too, listens. Touch, temperature, even the presence of someone close. These things shape how your body interprets the world. A gentle hand on your shoulder can steady the nervous system. A warm blanket can quiet the storm inside. This is the subconscious responding, not to logic, but to comfort. The subconscious is also a mirror. Your body reflects your unspoken truths. Stress you try to ignore might live in your shoulders. Grief may sink into your gut. Even joy leaves a trace. Lightness in the limbs, softness in the eyes. And so, to understand yourself more deeply, you don't always have to think harder. You can feel more gently. Notice your breath without changing it. Sense your feet against the ground. Soften your gaze, and let the world come in without needing to name it. The subconscious loves rhythm. It thrives in cycles: heartbeat, breath, sleep, and movement. Dance, sway, walk. These are not just physical acts. They are conversations with the subconscious mind. When you move with intention, your inner world listens. Even stillness is a form of motion inside. When you lie down and close your eyes, the body shifts into deeper modes of listening. It recalibrates. It heals. It remembers what your busy mind forgets. That rest is not the opposite of progress. It is part of your design. So as you lie here now, perhaps you feel the quiet pull of that bridge. Your breath rises, falls. Your fingers loosen. Your belly softens. The subconscious has always been close. Closer than thought. Closer than words. It has been waiting patiently for you to listen. And maybe, as you grow still, you begin to hear what your body has been trying to say all along. Perhaps what rises next, softly, wordlessly, is not just sensation, but memory. A past that still lingers in your cells, shaping the way you feel today. A whisper from the self you used to be. And that leads us gently to the next place, where we ask, what happens when the past speaks in silence? Chapter 8. When the past speaks in silence. There are echoes inside you. Not loud, not clear, but soft murmurs, like the rustling of leaves you can't quite see. Sometimes it's the way your chest tightens before speaking. Sometimes it's why you flinch at kindness or hesitate when joy appears. And though no one else hears them, these echoes shape the rhythm of your life. You were not born with these patterns. They were woven, gently or painfully, into your inner fabric. By moments, by people, by repetition, by things remembered too vividly, and things forgotten too deeply. Your subconscious is a careful archivist. It stores not just what happened, but how it felt. And feelings, unlike facts, don't rest quietly in boxes. They move. They return. They ask to be seen. Some memories are clear. A teacher's voice, a childhood room, a face you used to love. But others are impressions. A tone of voice, a recurring dream, a reaction in your body. Before your mind catches up, this is the language of the subconscious. Slow, emotional, and layered. It keeps you safe, even when you don't know why. It shields you from pain by building reflexes, not just physical, but emotional. That silence when someone raises their voice. That sudden retreat from warmth, just when it's real. Those aren't flaws. They're strategies your subconscious crafted long ago to protect the tender parts of you. Psychologists call these conditioned responses, learned patterns rooted in earlier experiences, like a path in the forest that your feet remember. Your nervous system walks the same trails again and again. These patterns live not just in your thoughts, but in your limbic system, the emotional brain beneath your thinking mind. Here, past fear still holds its breath. Here, unprocessed pain still whispers. And when you find yourself acting from fear, pulling away, or sabotaging something good. Know this. It isn't weakness. It's a story trying to finish itself. Sometimes, those old stories are trauma. Not always the dramatic kind, but the quiet wounds. Being ignored, misunderstood, told you were too much or not enough. Even small moments, repeated, can leave lasting marks in a mind that was still soft and forming. And when the hurt is too heavy to carry consciously, your subconscious picks it up. It stores it in posture, in tone, in choices. It stores it in silence. But here's the grace. The subconscious is not a prison. It's a garden. Yes, there are roots tangled with shadow. But where there are roots, there can be growth. When you begin to notice, really notice, the patterns that repeat, you've already started to wake something up. Self-awareness is like sunlight. It doesn't force, it reveals. And with light comes choice. You can trace the feeling back to its origin. You can name the thing that once named you. This is the gentle path of healing. Not erasing the past, but rewriting the present moment's relationship to it. You might find that an old fear was trying only to protect you from loneliness. You might discover that behind a wall was a younger version of you, still waiting to be heard. And here, in the quiet of this chapter, you begin to listen, not to fix, not to force, but to simply witness the shape of what lives inside. Healing does not happen in loud, sweeping ways. It comes in breaths, in stillness, in moments where you pause before reacting and choose to stay. Even now, your body holds stories. Your shoulders remember burdens. Your stomach remembers tension. Your heart remembers what it's been told about love. But you, the observer, the listener, the one breathing slowly in this moment, you are not the story. You are the storyteller now. And storytellers can revise. You start by noticing the patterns, by asking yourself softly, what does this remind me of? Where did I first feel this? Is this mine or something I was taught to carry? No need to rush the answers. Even the asking begins the unwinding. And as the knots of your past loosen, space is made. Space for new responses, for softness, for rest. Because the subconscious is not just a keeper of wounds. It is also the keeper of your strength. It remembers every time you survived. It holds your resilience like a riverbed holds water, quiet but steady. So tonight, as you lie here with your breath and your heartbeat, know this. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are unfolding into awareness. And just as the past leaves its marks, so too can you leave new ones. Marks of gentleness, of trust, of choosing something softer. Because even the deepest, oldest patterns can be rewritten when seen with compassion. And perhaps, in the next still moment, you'll hear something new, a whisper not of fear, but of peace. And when you hear it, you may wonder, if the past has shaped me so quietly, what else, still quiet, might I begin to shape in return? Chapter 9, Tuning the Mind Below. The room is quiet now, and so are you. Your breath moves like a tide, slow and steady, brushing the shores of your ribs. Somewhere beneath this softness, your thoughts still drift, but tonight, they drift slower, like leaves falling onto still water. There is a part of your mind that's always listening. It listens when you speak to yourself without saying a word. It listens through rhythm, through silence, through repetition. It listens with no language, yet it understands everything. You've already met this listener, the subconscious. It remembers without asking. It guides without announcing. But here is something even more surprising. You can speak to it, not with commands, not with logic, but with quiet patterns. The kind that return like moonlight on the same window each night. This is the power of tuning, gently shaping the mind below your thoughts. Think of your subconscious as a garden. You don't force a seed to grow. You water it at the same time each day. You trust the sun, the soil, the rhythm of seasons. And one day, something green appears. That's how suggestion works. Repetition, soft and steady, is the watering can. The words you whisper again and again become the shape of your inner landscape. This is why affirmations feel strange at first. You might say, "I am safe," and a voice inside laughs. But if you whisper it kindly every night, the laughter fades. The words become soil, then roots, then a slow belief. The subconscious loves rhythm. It listens best when the conscious mind grows quiet. That's why meditation works. Not because you erase your thoughts, but because you sit beside them. You stop pushing, and in that stillness, a new voice rises. Your own voice, just deeper, softer. True. In one study, scientists watched how the brain changes when people meditate regularly. They saw parts of the brain tied to fear grow smaller. Parts tied to empathy and focus became stronger. Not in a flash, but like waves wearing smooth as stone. Change, when it lasts, is always gentle. You don't need incense or silence or perfect posture. You just need a moment and a breath. You can meditate while washing dishes or walking under trees. The point is not to empty the mind. It's to notice it without judgment. To sit beside yourself like an old friend, not a fixer. The same is true with visualization. Athletes use it. Artists use it. Healers use it. They see the moment before it arrives. They imagine the action, the feeling, the success, and their subconscious listens. It begins to believe it's already possible. And in that belief, the body begins to follow. You can try it too, in small, lovely ways. Imagine your day before it begins. See yourself moving with kindness, responding with calm. Don't demand perfection. Just paint the feeling. Your subconscious doesn't need facts. It needs familiarity. It doesn't speak in paragraphs. It feels in patterns. That's why rituals matter. Even the smallest bedtime routine, a cup of warm tea, a slow stretch, the hum of a favorite song, tells your inner mind, it is time to rest. And the mind listens, not because it was commanded, but because it was invited. There is such quiet power in gentle repetition. Consider how a lullaby works, the same melody again and again. Or how a mother rubs a baby's back in circles. The body remembers this rhythm. The subconscious feels safe inside it. Even your thoughts can become a lullaby, not the racing ones, but the ones you choose to whisper. I am okay. I am healing. I am enough. You don't need to believe them yet. You only need to speak them with care. Your subconscious, like soil, will take them in. There's a concept in psychology called neuroplasticity. It means your brain, yes, even yours, even now, can change. New pathways can be formed. Old ones can be softened. The way you think, the way you feel, they're not concrete. They're clay. And the hands that shape them are slow, kind, and yours. But the subconscious doesn't respond to pressure. It stiffens when rushed. It opens when safe. So tonight, offer it safety. No demands. Just presence. No performance. Just breath. Sit quietly with yourself, like two old friends under a tree. Say nothing for a while, then maybe speak a kind phrase or two. And listen, not for words, but for warmth. Because tuning the subconscious is not about force, it's about frequency. And when you begin to live in harmony with that quiet frequency, your outer world gently begins to echo your inner one. You become the melody you repeat, the thought you choose to feed, the softness you offer yourself. So go ahead, try, close your eyes, breathe in slowly, and plant one thought you wish would bloom. Not a loud one, not a perfect one, just one true seed, pressed gently into the soil of your own becoming. And as you let it rest, as your breath slows, as the rhythms of your inner world settle into calm, you may begin to sense something else. Not a word, not a sound, but perhaps a memory, a feeling that rises from deep within, carried not by thought, but by something older, the part of you that dreams in color and remembers without trying. Because in the next breath, we'll step into that place, where your subconscious stores its oldest treasures, your dreams, your symbols, and the stories you don't yet know you're telling. Chapter 10, The Dreaming Self Remembers. There is a moment, just before sleep, when the edges of your mind begin to dissolve. Thoughts soften, time loosens its grip. You feel the world growing quieter, as if it, too, is folding into slumber. And somewhere in that hush, where your breath rises and falls like a tide, something ancient stirs within you. This is where the dreaming self begins to whisper. All through this journey, you followed subtle trails into the unseen, the mind that breathes without asking, the memory that blooms without permission, the feelings that rise like fog from deep waters. And now, you arrive here, at the quietest part of you, the place where your subconscious becomes a dreamer. Your subconscious is not just a storage place. It's a storyteller. Night after night, without your command, it gathers pieces of your day, a glance, a color, a memory, a longing, and spins them into stories beneath your closed eyes. Dreams are not random noise. They are the language of the self beneath the self. Like wind that draws patterns in sand, dreams sketch shapes from thoughts too big, too quiet, or too complex to speak aloud. Scientists call this memory consolidation. Your brain, in sleep, begins to sort and save the day's impressions. Like a librarian filing books by candlelight, your subconscious determines what to keep, what to discard, and sometimes what to rewrite entirely. Even in your deepest rest, your mind works on your behalf. During a phase of sleep called REM, rapid eye movement, your brain lights up with activity, almost as if awake. But it's not reacting to the world outside. It's traveling inward, walking through memories, testing possibilities, rehearsing emotions, and even solving problems. Maybe you've felt this before. You sleep with a question and wake with an answer, or you wake from a dream that leaves you feeling something you can't quite name, as if your soul has remembered something your thoughts had forgotten. This is not magic. This is your mind doing its deepest, most mysterious work. And sometimes, what it brings forth is more than memory. It is meaning. The subconscious doesn't use logic the way the conscious mind does. It doesn't reason in steps or argue with itself. It moves more like music, looping, rising, falling. It shows you a hallway instead of a map. It gives you symbols instead of instructions. A house with no doors. A bird that speaks. A childhood room lit by a moon that never was. And in that softness, in those images that don't quite make sense, a kind of truth is often waiting. Not factual truth, but emotional truth. Not what happened, but what it meant. Not what you should do, but what you feel ready for. Dreams are how your inner world reflects itself. They can be gentle, strange, unsettling, or sublime. But always, they come from you. Not the you that performs, or plans, or speaks, but the deeper you, the dreaming self. And sometimes, in the stillness of the night, your subconscious does something even more extraordinary. It integrates. It heals. In dreams, you may revisit people you've lost, speak words you couldn't say, face fears you never named, all while your body lies still, safe, breathing, held by the darkness. The subconscious can bring shadows forward, not to frighten, but to be seen. It invites you to feel what you've tucked away, and in the safety of sleep, it allows your spirit to stretch, to practice, to release, to remember. And all of this happens without force. You do not will it. You simply rest, and your deeper mind takes the wheel. This is not only beautiful, it's essential. Without the subconscious, you could not grow, could not adapt, could not dream, not only in sleep, but in life. Your creativity, your intuition, your resilience. All these are born in the quiet depths. That song you hum without thinking. That moment of sudden clarity. That strange and wonderful feeling of knowing without knowing why. They are all gifts from the mind behind the mind. The conscious self likes to believe it's in charge, but the dreaming self is the true navigator. It moves you through grief, through learning, through change. It is the part of you that listens when you forget how, the part that watches when you turn away, the part that remembers when you want to forget, and forgets, sometimes mercifully, when remembering is too much. So tonight, as you lie here, still and soft, let your dreaming self rise. Let it unspool the tight threads of thought. Let it walk where the daylight mind cannot. You don't have to understand it. You only have to trust that something inside you is always working for your healing, always guiding you toward meaning, even in silence, especially in sleep. Perhaps the subconscious is not only the quieter mind, but the wiser one, the one that knows how to carry you across the night, gently stitching today to tomorrow, with threads made of memory, emotion, and light. You are a whole universe, and your dreaming self remembers every star. And so we end this chapter and this journey, not with answers, but with a question that floats gently across the night. What else lives within you, waiting to be heard in silence, waiting to bloom in dreams? And now, let your breath settle, like a feather floating down, to the quiet ground of sleep. You've wandered gently through the chambers of your own mind, not with urgency, but with wonder, not to solve, but to soften, not to wake the intellect, but to lull the soul. You are more than thoughts, more than plans, memories, or names. Beneath it all, there is a presence, steady, silent, and vast, that watches, remembers, and quietly dreams you forward. So as the night wraps itself around you, let it take your hand. Let go of the day. Let go of knowing. Let go of doing. There is nothing you must be now, except at peace. Your subconscious, that gentle guide beneath the surface, will hold the threads of your being while you rest. And in the morning, you may not remember this journey with words, but some part of you will feel lighter, clearer, more whole. You are safe. You are held. And you are home. Within yourself. Good night.